Hi everyone, it's Maura Aviva. So now in the Haggadah we are up to Maggid. Maggid is the story of Pesach. So now we've done Kadesh, Orchatz, Karpas, Yachatz, and now Maggid. So I'm going to read to you a little book about the story of Pesach. It's called The 10 Plagues of Egypt by Aaron Friedman. Story time with Shoko, The 10 Plagues of Egypt. Come hear the great tale of a rich, mighty land, whose wicked king wanted to fight Hashem's command. Egypt's king Paro had Israel enslaved, but Hashem decided that they should be saved. Hashem wanted his people to live by his plan, to follow his law for the good of each man. So Moshe was sent to tell Paro Hashem's word. Send out my people, their cry has been heard. But the king saw no reason to set his slaves free. He boasted, no ruler is greater than me. Who is Hashem? Paro laughed, that he ordered me so. I rule the Israelites, they shall not go. This foolish king's future would soon be undone. Of the 10 plagues of Egypt, blood was plague number 1. Blood oozed from the rivers like thick, sticky jelly. Dead fish made the waters disgusting and smelly. Blood in the bathtub and blood in the sink. No water at all, not a drop left to drink. The only fresh water was found by the slaves. Let us drink, begged their masters, or we'll go to our graves. But the moment the Israelites shared a few sips, the water turned bloody on the Egyptians' lips. Even Paro was thirsty, but still he said no. They want to serve Hashem, well, I won't let them go. Said Moshe to Paro, why don't you give in? You're fighting with Hashem. Don't you know you can't win? Next came the second plague, frogs big and bumpy. They hid in the houses and made people jumpy. They sprang from the rivers, dripping and slimy, rolling in bed sheets and making them grimy. In the kitchens of Egypt, the ovens were shaking, with frogs leaping out of the bread that was baking. Frogs hopped onto shoulders and croaked into ears. They made such a racket it brought one to tears. But the frogs only made Paro's stubbornness grow. These are my slaves, and I shall not let them go. Said Moshe, 2 plagues, and you still don't agree? Perhaps you'll give in after plague number 3. Being cruel to the Israelites carries a price. All Egypt's dust will now turn to lice. They came for a visit, those unwanted guests, and no magic helped to get rid of the pest. Egyptians tried soaking in rivers and springs, but still could not flee from the small itchy things. Others took cover in tunnels down deep, but way underground lice continued to creep. Shouted Paro, I'm ruler above and below. Nothing can force me to let my slaves go. But Moshe just said, oh, you arrogant king, you've suffered 3 plagues without learning a thing? Then Egypt shook with a deafening roar. Wild beasts stalked the streets in plague number 4. Breaking down doors and charging upstairs were lions and leopards and mean grizzly bears. Egyptians hid trembling in barrels and boxes, protecting themselves from mad dogs and foxes. Paro hurried to Moshe. I'll free them today. Just please have your God drive these creatures away. But when the beasts left, evil Paro said no and took back his promise. I won't let them go. Said Moshe, beware, Hashem is fighting our battle, because you have treated us worse than your cattle. Israelite struggles with wagons and plows, while you give rest to your oxen and cows. But the cows that you pamper to grow fat and thick, with plague number 5, will be terribly sick. So ill were those cows that they could not even moo. They lay around helpless with no strength to chew. But the Israelites' cows had no coughs and no wheezes, no chills and no fevers, no sniffles or sneezes. Cried Paro, I'm king here, and my slaves must know, if they want to serve God, I shall not let them go. But the greatest of kings have no strength on their own. The power to rule is in Hashem's hand alone. Stubborn King Paro was acting absurd. How foolish to think he would have the last word. Hashem sent plague number 6, hot watery blisters on aunts and on uncles, on brothers and sisters. On man and on beast, those boils kept doubling. All over their bodies, big blotches were bubbling. It swelled up on bellies, this dreaded disease. It burst out on elbows, on knuckles, and knees. Even Paro had boils from forehead to toe, but he wouldn't bend. My slaves shall not go. Then Egypt was warned about plague number 7. Hailstones like boulders would rain down from heaven. Most people did not need to hear any more. They ran into their houses and bolted each door. But the ones who were headstrong ignored all advice. They stayed in their fields and were struck down by ice. Hail fell down flaming with flashes of lightning and loud bursts of thunder that made it more frightening. Paro quickly called Moshe. They're free men, I swear. And just then the hail stopped. It stopped in mid-air. But then Paro laughed. For a few flakes of snow, did you really expect me to let my slaves go? Said Moshe. The 8th plague will be armies of locusts, cried the king. I'm not frightened by your hocus pocus. Paro's men begged, save what's left of our land. But still he refused to heed Hashem's command. The locusts invaded and made their attack, munching grapes from the vines for a mid-morning snack. And when they got down to some serious eating, every tree in the land took a terrible beating. Paro called Moshe. He wasted no time. I've enslaved them too long. I admit to my crime. But when the plague stopped, wicked Paro said, no. He again changed his mind. My slaves shall not go. The 9th plague gave Egypt a horrible fright. 3 days of thick darkness, not one ray of light. For being so wicked, so heartless and mean, this dark was the darkest to ever be seen. Whoever tried walking could not lift his feet, and anyone sitting was stuck to his seat. But the slaves were now blessed with a miraculous light. It shone in the daytime and even at night. Paro said, Moshe, I'll free them today. The people may go, but the animals stay. But our flocks, said Moshe, are needed, you know. Sorry, said Paro, I won't let them go. The 10th plague, said Moshe, is surely the worst. You've time yet to stop it. I'm warning you first. But foolhardy Paro felt somehow he'd win. His land all but ruined, still he wouldn't give in. In the quiet of the night, loud cries filled the air. Egyptians were weeping and pulling their hair. In the houses of Egypt, the oldest son died, for no one had listened to when Hashem's children cried. Leave my land, ordered Paro. I surrender to you. Take your people, your cattle, and pray for me too. Egyptians were pressing them not to be slow. You've made enough trouble. Get moving. Now go. The slaves rushed, not waiting for their dough to rise. But the future would bring them a dreadful surprise. For Paro, of course, changed his mind once again, chasing after the Israelites with Egypt's armed men. Attack from all sides, they marched into the sea, but faith in Hashem's mercy would soon make them free. The sea split for Israel to cross on dry ground. Then it came crashing back, and the soldiers were drowned. Great Egypt lay ruined with many men dead, and the slaves were now free with their homeland ahead. No more need the Israelites fear any man. With Hashem as their master, true freedom began. The end. I hope you enjoyed the story of Maggid. Bye.